It's a national emergency, according to the West Midlands Chief Constable Dave Thompson. Nearly 700 school children fell victim to it in his force area last year. So last Thursday was a timely moment for the 27-foot-high knife angel, comprising 100,000 discarded blades, to be hoisted into place outside Coventry Cathedral, symbolising the campaign against knives. Ben Godfrey has been talking to some of those who've experienced its terrible consequences firsthand.
He was kind, he was generous, he would give anybody anything. I absolutely worshipped that boy.
Keelan Wilson was 15. In May last year, he was ambushed by masked attackers in Wolverhampton and died after suffering over 40 stab wounds.
His baby sister, he never even got to meet her. And, you know, one day I'm going to have to explain to them both what happened to him.
Keelan's mother, Kelly, believes the police investigation has stalled and says her family has been let down. 10 months on, there have been 6 arrests, but no one's been charged with her son's murder.
Dealings with the police hasn't been a positive one, if I'm completely honest. They make me feel like a burden. When I phone for updates, they don't really want to give them to me. Have some empathy. You know, it's not easy losing a child.
West Midlands Police told us its officers are leaving no stone unturned in what is a complex murder investigation. They claim they are in regular contact with the family through various lines of communication. Around 700 children were attacked or threatened with a knife last year in the West Midlands, but it's a crime without boundaries. Between 2010 and 18 in Warwickshire, West Mercia and Staffordshire, knife crime rose by an average of 42%.
It's an example of 2 of the knives that we've recovered from the park this morning, a household carving knife and this knife with a serrated edge.
In Coventry, on Operation Sceptre, police searched for hidden blades. And across the force, they've stopped and searched people and made dozens of arrests.
Certainly when they're seeing a heightened police presence, they know the consequences of perhaps being caught with a knife on them, but they want them readily available should they want to use them, and they stash them.
So I think there are kids that have probably played on this park as youngsters and now maybe coming here feeling they need to arm themselves with a knife, and not just that, stick it in the ground to then come back one day to use it. Scary thought, isn't it?
I want to understand the mentality of carrying a knife. Omar Sharif moved to Coventry from London, where as a boy he joined a gang. A decade on, he's turned his life around and is now a motivational speaker.
In the past, I have carried a knife because I thought it was going to help. It's going to help me. I thought I'll feel safer. Now, for young people, significance, love and connection, and contribution are 3 main areas that they feel like they're missing out on. You know, the love and connection from a broken family that they're missing out on, they get that from the gangs that they work with.
In this debate, I sense that one of the unspoken things is about parental responsibility.
Yeah.
What should parents say to their children before they go out?
Parents are complaining about their kids being stopped and searched on the street. It just takes a minute to say, you know what, I don't want to do this to you, but I'm going to stop and search you as your parent, because that's love, that's caring for them.
Some families are still searching for answers years on.
Suddenly everything was taken from us one night, everything just vanished.
Oh, you're right there. Let's go.
Morgan Hare was fatally stabbed in Nuneaton in 2015. His killer, Declan Gray, had previously served a sentence for manslaughter. In the months leading up to Morgan's death, he was twice arrested on suspicion of wounding, but not charged.
Probation, when Declan was on licence, we're not told about Declan's offending, which would have meant a recall to Declan when he was on licence to prison, but the police forgot to tell probation. Everybody's asking the question, how do we stop knife crime? But if all these agencies are not working properly together, well, that lies a problem.
Warwickshire's Police and Crime Commissioner told us tackling knife crime is an absolute priority, and the force constantly seeks to improve the management of violent offenders. The Home Secretary has now promised more funding for police forces, but victims' families tell me they want more officers investigating, but warn it's only part of the solution.
Trying to get someone to put down a knife is going to be very difficult because they fear for their lives.
Kelly Elliot's ending that report by Ben Godfrey, and we're also joined here today by Matthew Ellis, the Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner for Staffordshire. But bearing in mind, Matthew, that the Office for National Statistics report an 88% increase in knife crime in your area since 2010, Why is Staffordshire near the top of the most unwelcome league table in England?
I think there's lots of complex reasons, recording reasons, all sorts, but the fact is that knife crime is absolutely squarely on the agenda. It's been on a slow boil, it's been getting worse for some time, but the tragedies that we've seen in the capital and in parts of the West Midlands really bring it to reality. And I think I was really taken with what was said actually in the clip. The police can't do this on their own. This is about all agencies doing it together, hence the reason I'm bringing all agencies in a similar way to what I did last year.
So you're accepting that too many cases are getting through the net?
Absolutely. By the time it gets to policing, we've lost the battle because something tragic has happened or something is about to happen, which is tragic. So we have to work much harder and make sure agencies from education, from trading standards to councils, everybody understands the risk and everybody can do something to avoid it getting to the police in the first place.
Let's get to the bottom of this question about police numbers, because Theresa May says that there's no direct correlation, but in your force area, since 2010, numbers are down by about 600, from something like 2,200 to under 1,600. So you can understand why people do draw that connection.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that more police officers isn't a benefit. Of course it is a benefit, but actually this doesn't start with policing. This is a societal issue. This is around education, it's around healthcare, it's about young people and actually older people not feeling that they're safe without a knife or have got criminal tendencies. So it's one of these awful subjects where it's ever so easy to put sound bites on it, but the complexity behind it is enormous, and the only way to deal with it is to work together as agencies.
But be honest, you would like more police officers to do. I mean, we've seen £100 million coming from the Chancellor in the spring statement last week. So, I mean, presumably you would hope. Well, the police chiefs wanted 300 million, so was that enough?
Yeah, well, we'll see where that ends up. I think that's going mainly to the metropolitan areas rather than all police services.
So how many officers do you think you would need ideally to cope with this?
I've asked people for more money this year, substantially more money for the first time ever. I'm not comfortable doing that, but I've made a decision that the force does need more officers. It reassures, it provides flexibility, it means that they can tackle some of this. The good news,
give us a number.
The good news is that in the last 6 months, stop and searches, targeted stop and searches are up by 44%. So that really does help. That helps the police start to understand the problem. And I don't think that as people, as public services, as government, I don't think we really understand what is driving this other than things like social media and all of the modern pressures.
Philip Matthew accepts the seriousness of the question, and